Hi Niels, firstly let me congratulate you on your induction into the IP Hall of Fame. How does it feel to be recognised this way?
Well, it's wonderful to be recognized by an English magazine in the city of Chicago, which I haven't been in for many years, and I'm very impressed by it. But to be recognized for something that was a tremendous amount of fun and is just delightful.
And who would you say are your own IP heroes?
Well, I look back at the legislation that led to universities in the U.S. being able to have title to their inventions so that they could license those to industry. And the two people that I can think of are that I value very highly are Norman Latker, who was the head of the Chief Patent Counsel for National Institutes of Health. And this is back around 1980. And Joe Allen, who was Senator By's legislative assistant. There are two things they say you should never watch being made, and that's sausages and legislation. So I was very involved with the Bayh-Dole. We got a senator from the Democratic Party, Senator Byh, a senator from the Republican Party, Senator Dole, and through the machinations of Norm Latker and Joe Allen, we brought the legislation forward. And now universities that receive federal funding have title to the inventions that...
What would you consider then to be your major achievements and career highlights?
Probably, well, I can look at the Bayh-Dole legislation, but one of more personal meaning to me was recombinant DNA. And our news director first sent me a note about an article from New York Times that a very brief article about a publication by one of our scientists, Stanley Cohen, and then Herbert Boyer from the University of California, San Francisco. And I had to convince them that it made sense to file a patent application for recombinant DNA. In any event, that we licensed 360, 70 companies and brought in about $250 million in license income. But it is a very unusual case. I don't know of another where you have a patent that is the foundation for an entire industry.
And when you look at the technology transfer market in the US, how has it changed since you started your career?
Well, it's certainly much more visible. It was not at all visible when I started my career. When I began the office at Stanford, it was with no attorneys. That was my theory on how you should run an office. I would hire outside attorneys, but it was marketing focused, and some lawyers would be very nervous about what I did. But I would call up a company and tell them, this just bubbled up out of Professor so-and-so's test tube, and I know you're in this field. It has this particular property. Would you like to hear more about it? And most of the companies early on, that was the first time they'd ever gotten a call from a university. So it worked out, but what I marketed was more the technology collaboration between the university and the company rather than based on the claims of a patent. Right. And in many cases, the patent didn't amount to anything really significant, but the collaboration was successful. Our office licensed companies like Google, Yahoo, Excite, Silicon Graphics, Cisco, and many others. But most of our licenses were to existing companies worldwide.
And how do you see it developing in the future?
In the future, well, I do have a thought on how companies should be organized. In the past, a company would, a putative company would develop a piece of technology, and they'd put 1 pound on top of another pound on top of another pound, and then they would think about going overseas. But today, your competition is worldwide almost immediately, and so a company has to think about worldwide expansion very quickly and to develop alliances and so on.
Okay. Niels Reimers, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.